Hey Chem Fam, we are going to talk about percent mass, which is another type of concentration. We've already talked about molarity, which is moles per liter, and percent mass is just going to be a very simple equation, a way to talk about how concentrated or dilute something is. And all you have to do is take the mass of the solute divided by the total mass of the solution. Now here's a side note. The total mass of the solution is the solute plus the solvent added up. So that's an easy thing to forget, but it's a really quick thing to actually solve for. So let's take a look at the practice problem here. If you have glucose, which is a sugar, we have a percent by mass of the solution made by dissolving 163 grams of the glucose. So the glucose is going to be dissolved in the water. So we know that that is our solute, all right? And the water is going to be our solvent. Now notice at the top here, it doesn't say mass of solvent, it says mass of solution. And we know that the mass of solution is the solute plus the solvent. So when we solve for this, our percent mass is going to be equal to the grams of solute on top, which is 163, and the mass of the solution on the bottom is going to be the solute, 163, plus the solution, 755. Now that we have that, we can do that math really quick and get our percent. On the bottom, by the way, these two added up is 918. So if we take 163 divided by 918, you end up getting a decimal of 0.1775. Now remember, that's not the complete equation. You have to multiply 100 to get it in the proper percent form. So when you do that, move the decimal 2 places over, and this is a percent mass for concentration of 17.75%. It's that easy. All right, so this next problem, you know that you're given a 70% mass percent. Okay, so the percent mass is 70% when ethanol is added to 1,000 grams of water. So water is going to dissolve the ethanol. So that means that water is the solvent. Ethanol is ending up to be the solute. By the way, when you mix two liquids together, whichever one is the lesser amount, that is the solute. But here's the problem. We don't know how much solute we're adding. So if we plug into our equation, right, here's 70% is what I put in for my percent mass, right? The mass of solute up top, I do not know, right? So that's up top, the mass, I don't know that, but that will eventually be my ethanol. And then the mass of solution we know is the solute plus solvent. So the solute, I don't know what it is, that's X, but I do know the solvent is 1,000 grams. So now I have this equation. The only thing I have to remember is that 70%, if I put it in decimal form, is actually 0.70, right? You divide it by 100 to make it 0.70. So wow, how do we solve for a problem like this? Let me rewrite it. 0.70 is equal to X divided by X plus 1,000. All right, well, let's get everything out of the denominator first. So I'm going to multiply by X plus 1,000 to both sides. And when I do that, this cancels out and I'm left with X on this side. Now I'm going to distribute the 0.7 everywhere. So that's 0.7x plus 0.7 times 1,000 is really just 700 right there. Now that I have that, I am going to subtract to both sides 0.7x. So let's do that. Minus 0.7x to both sides. Okay, when I do that, that cancels out. Now forgive me, I'm running out of room, so let me put the rest of the work up here so you can follow along. My apologies for being so congested. All right, but anyways, you're left with 700 on the left side, right? Because these guys canceled out, so 700's left. And then you have x. Remember, x by itself is 1x. So if you do 1x minus 0.7, right, you're left with 0.3x. The last thing you have to do is get x by itself. So you're going to put 0.3 for dividing both sides. That's going to leave x by itself. And when you do 700 divided by 0.3, would end up giving you a total of 2,333.33 grams of ethanol. So, even though that was a little sloppy, my apologies, I ran out of room there. The total amount of ethanol that you would have in grams is 2,333. And to do that, we just used this simple equation for percent mass. To do that, remember the solute, we didn't know it in two spots, so you had to put the variable in two different places. But hopefully this is a great intro and allows you to know. Obviously, something with a higher percent mass is more concentrated. So something that has 70% mass versus 50% mass is more concentrated. The 50% mass concentration would be more dilute.